Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. It is for Monday, January 8th, 2024. Was a good weekend. Hope everybody had a good one. There's quite a bit of things that happened. This is going to be mostly a markets morning. I do have a few things I'm going to go over, but I'm kind of separating off some material onto Substack. And I've got a couple of you that I really want to thank for contributing material. One of you is Wayne, and then also Alex regarding the dollar. We'll go over that in a bit. So, on to our market factors. Basically, the MMRI, our main risk indicator, is currently at 258.3. So, this is showing a slight increase in instability in the debt market, mostly my opinion, but nothing huge. Right now, we'll go over, we're watching relative strength of the dollar as always. Gaining a bit of strength is due to a few factors, trade, and then also with oil. And then we're watching the 10-year yield is above 4.05. So basically, this is a little bit of a kickback for the market overpricing Fed cuts for this coming year. So market is figuring there's going to be double what the Fed says they are. So I think it's going to land somewhere in the middle. We'll see what happens. So as of right now, stocks are in the green. They've recovered a bit, got gold and oil under pressure, and the futures are mixed. So the sentiment right now, mixed, predominantly weak still, but there's strength showing. So if risk drops, this is kind of a consolidating market. So as we were talking about yesterday, though, there was a drop in Boeing. We'll go over that more. And that did hit the Dow for a bit, but it's already recovering from European and Asian markets. So the relative US dollar strength, 10-year yield are up, and that is kind of pressuring the futures a bit. So we are watching data coming out of China, particularly the real estate sector, because Evergrande is kind of floating up again. But also, they have decided to cut their shipping going through the Suez because of everything going on there. The risk is too high. So, Middle East shipping is going to affect not just in that area, but it's now beginning to affect global trade and is going to increase inflation globally as well, all shipping, and create some basically supply chain disruptions. They're finally beginning to warn about this. We're talking about this from the beginning, but now they finally caught on that if this continues, it will cause an issue. So we're also watching the debt and bond sales that are coming up for this week. So in our calendar today, we're watching really consumer expectations and then also consumer credit. So I'm interested in this number because they're talking about a lot of consumer debt. This does not account for any of the buy now, pay later that we've been talking about skyrocketing lately, particularly for the Christmas season. So for tomorrow, early in the morning, we've got imports, exports, and then also our trade balance, which could have an effect. And then the 3-year auction, which I don't think will be a big deal on crude oil. So as we were saying, the Dow futures did come down, pressured by Boeing and the Fed trajectory, talking about the rate cuts. But as I was saying, Boeing is also basically a war stock. So Boeing and Lockheed, they launched their first Vulcan rocket, sending a private lander to the moon. So in my opinion, watching Boeing on this drop, I'm going to be looking for longer term purchase opportunities. So I will be buying in when it hits certain levels because it has been having a pretty good run, but I do think it will recover from this MAX incident with Alaska Airlines. So, Financial Times. So, they report mostly on the banking sector, and they're talking about the stress that the banking regulation on the capital, forcing them to increase in the financial system, could make it more fragile. And then we've got the largest US bank set to log sharp rise in bad loans. So mostly what we're watching in this particular instance is corporate loans. Corporate loans, business debt, corporate real estate. Those are going to be the huge ones to catch up from behind. So also saw this articles from The Economist talking about the cost of living. inflation is still here. So when they talk about it slowing, it's still, prices are still increasing, just not as rapidly as they were. So it's just a bit of a graph of the world's most expensive cities. So I thought that was of interest. And as you can see, the bulk of them are in the United States and Europe. So kind of the Western coalition there. So we got quite a few stories here. Private US companies increasingly going bust as profit sinks. So small businesses going under, small to medium businesses, just like the middle class, being pushed into extinction. And we've also got this as a global deal because the EU state reporting the record number of corporate bankruptcies. This is France. Over 55,000 French businesses closed their doors last year. That's not a good sign, needless to say. And then we also have this sign as corporate insolvencies happening almost 3 per day this year, the PwC. So they had a wave of 229 insolvencies in the fourth quarter alone. So this is for Ireland. So when you look at the ratio of the number of businesses going under between these European countries, it's going to catch up sooner or later to this economy that's supposedly doing wonderfully. And then a bit of good news, I think this is going to be a boon for them. Japanese e-commerce giant Mercari. So they're kind of a version of Amazon, if you will, in Japan. They're going to start allowing Bitcoin payments in June. It's kind of a sad story, but this is another real indicator of what's going on. US animal shelters are in crisis because now they're getting a surge of not just dogs, but unwanted animals. So they're blaming it on the return to office mandates and then also increased pet costs, which I think is the reality, and landlord restrictions. And animals are expensive to have. So people are basically giving back their animals, is saying there's a 22% jump in stray dogs in the shelters. So that's kind of a sad story to me, but it's kind of showing what's going on, and that will probably continue. And then we've got, of all people, JP Morgan predicting China's yuan to dethrone the US dollar. So of late, if you watch a lot of the activity from JP Morgan on their larger, basically investment side, they're doing a lot of work in China. They're buying up a good portion of what's going on with China. I think they're waiting for them to default and then soak up their assets just like they did in the United States. So, more increasingly, I really want to bring this story to your attention. And I'm going to repeatedly because I cannot possibly say how important this is. But this is regarding water again. This story is about Saudi company abusing water rights in the US, losing its leases. Now they had purchased the farmland out here and were using it. So yeah, they were probably using more water than they should. But the key point that I want to point out here is that the state chose to basically take back their water rights and controlling them. So if the government at any time can take back this resource from their legally owned farm, then they can to individuals as well. And so we need to really watch this. Did work with water rights for quite some time out in the West. It's a completely different deal if you haven't had to deal with it before. And I think it's something very important. And another key level that nobody understands on the other side is that the United States has been using tax dollars to buy up farmland out in the West as well, stripping it of the water rights and then reselling back to either counties or other entities. And they're using our tax dollars to basically take resources from us. So just want to bring that up. For lava updates, as I said, I am moving details that I generally can't cover or have a difficult time covering here over to Substack. This will be the next one that I'll be having over there. So just a reminder, live, trade, and think outside of their system. I'll start detailing this more on how you can do it. I go over this quite a bit here. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I would like to wish you all a wonderful trading day. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.